You have been squatting for what, a year now? 2? And you still catch yourself sideways in the mirror and see 2 toothpicks holding up your entire body. Let me ask you something nobody in your gym will say out loud. Why is it that the muscle group carrying you through your whole life is the exact one you cannot get to grow? They sold you a slogan: never skip leg day, squat or die, no pain, no gain. You believed it, you bled for it, and your legs still look like they were borrowed from a smaller, weaker guy. So here is where it gets interesting. There is one exercise that fires your quads just as hard as a heavy back squat, hammers your calves even more than squats do, and lets your body bounce back in about 3 hours instead of leaving you crippled for 3 days. And the strange part is that you do not load a single pound onto your spine to get there. You push the weight in front of you instead of stacking it on your back, and that one change is the whole reason your body barely gets damaged. No, this is not some trick your influencer cousin invented in his garage. This came straight out of a lab. But before I hand you the exercise, you need to understand why squats have been quietly failing your legs this whole time. Picture the bottom of a heavy squat. You suck in a breath, lock it down, and brace like your life depends on it. That little ritual has a name. It is called the Valsalva maneuver, and the second you do it, the pressure inside your torso rockets past 200 on the same scale doctors use for blood pressure. That number means nothing to you, so let me translate it. It is high enough to start squeezing the big vein that carries blood back up to your heart. Less blood returns, your heart has less to pump. And then you stand up, let the breath go, and for a heartbeat or two, your brain is running on empty. That is the exact moment you see those little white stars. And here is the part that should bother you. It happens with squats more than almost any other lift because your legs hold the largest blood vessels in your entire body. Big engine, big plumbing, big crash. But the dizziness is honestly the smallest of your problems. 2 researchers went digging into what actually happens inside the muscle after a squat session. Their names were Vincent and Vincent. Yes, both of them. No, I did not make that up. They tracked a marker called creatine kinase, which is basically the alarm your body trips when muscle fibers get shredded. When the tissue tears, this stuff leaks into your blood like an oil light blinking on the dashboard. Something is broken under the hood. A calm, healthy reading sits somewhere between 35 and 175. That is your baseline, engine running clean. Now watch what squats do to it. Experienced lifters, guys who train week in and week out, spike to 1,349. And the people who do not train regularly, they shot up to 3,272. Sit with that for a second. That is roughly 19 times higher than normal. If your warning light usually glows at a 1, leg day has it flashing red at 19. You would assume that peaks the next morning and fades, right? Wrong. The damage does not even hit its worst point until somewhere around 72 to 96 hours after you rack the bar. And the whole mess can take a week to 9 days before your body finally calls it even. So think about your routine. You train legs once a week, feel wrecked for 4 days, start feeling human again around day 6, then walk right back in and blow the whole thing up again. You have been living inside a loop of permanent damage and calling it discipline. But dizziness and wreckage are only 2 of the 3 reasons squats are quietly robbing you. Walk up to anyone mid-workout and ask for the single best leg exercise on earth. You already know what you will hear. Squats, bro. King of lifts. And look, I get the loyalty. But the science has something very rude to say about that crown. Back in 2016, a researcher named Scarabot pulled together a huge review in the European Journal of Applied Physiology, and the whole thing revolved around an ugly little term: the bilateral deficit. Stay with me because in plain English, it is almost funny. When both of your legs push at the exact same time, each individual leg somehow produces less force than it could on its own. Picture you and a buddy shoving a stalled car. You would expect 2 people to be stronger than 1. Instead, for some bizarre wiring reason, you both get a little weaker the moment you push together. That is literally what your nervous system does with your legs. The numbers land between 7 and 25% less force per leg when they work as a pair. So let us line up the charges. Leg day makes you dizzy. It spikes muscle damage to 19 times normal. And on top of that, your legs are not even firing at full power while you grind through it. Yeah, forget leg day. But this is exactly where the whole story flips. In 2014, a team led by a guy named West ran an experiment published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research. They grabbed 11 already strong men and put them through 5 sets of brutally heavy sled drags. We are talking 75% of their body weight loaded onto the thing. Then they measured the same damage marker Vincent and Vincent had used, And what they found honestly did not make sense at first glance. Zero. There was no spike, no creatine kinase flood, no alarm, no oil light. The tissue simply was not getting torn apart the way squats tear it. Then they timed the recovery, and this is the part that made me rewind the study twice. Instead of being flattened for 72 hours, these men were fully recovered in about 3 hours. Same muscles worked, same effort poured in, a fraction of the wreckage. And when scientists strapped EMG sensors on to compare the electrical activity between heavy sled pushes and back squats, the quads and calves were lighting up right beside the squat, and on the calves they pushed past it. So think about what that quietly unlocks. If squats cost you 4 ruined days for one session, and the sled costs you an afternoon, you can hit your legs 3 or 4 times a week without ever feeling broken. That is not a small edge. That is training your legs 4 times more often than the guy chained to 1 weekly leg day, and giving them 4 times the reason to grow. There is one more thing the sled fixes without making a sound. On a squat, your spine carries the entire load, and one sloppy rep can put you on the floor for a month. Push a sled and all the force runs horizontal. Your back barely has a job. So how do you actually push the thing right? Walk up and grab the vertical posts or the handles, whatever your sled has bolted on. Keep your arms nearly locked, maybe 95% straight, just a whisper of a bend in the elbow. Your arms are not the engine here, they are a tow rope. All they do is connect you to the weight. Now lean your whole frame into it. Picture the half second before a sprint when the starter calls on your marks. That forward pitch, right around 45 degrees, that is your angle. Put your weight onto the balls of your feet, heels barely kissing the floor, like you are frozen on your tiptoes. Eyes down, but not at your shoes. Pick a spot on the ground about 10 feet ahead and stare a hole through it. Then drive. Slam one foot down like you are trying to punch a crater into the concrete, and that single leg shoves the sled forward roughly a foot. The instant it lands, the other foot peels up, swings ahead, and stomps down to move it another foot. You are not pushing with your arms. You are not heaving with your chest. You are walking this thing forward on pure leg drive. The core is the piece everybody forgets. Take a breath, lock your abs like you are bracing for a punch to the gut, and hold that iron the entire length of the push. 2 things happen when you do. Your lower back stays protected, and every ounce of leg power actually transfers into the sled instead of leaking out through a folding torso. If your arms are burning, you are cheating with your arms. If your lower back is barking at you, you are either standing too tall or you let the brace slip. Then there is the weight, and this is where most people go soft. It needs to be heavy. Genuinely heavy. Here is the honest test. If you can jog with it, it is a toy. You want a slow, grinding march, one deliberate stomp at a time, the way you would shove a car that just ran out of gas. Load your own body weight to start. If you sit at 180 pounds, put 180 on the sled and adjust from there. Aim to push it at least 15 to 20 yards a set. Run 4 to 6 sets and give yourself 2 to 3 minutes to breathe between them. 3 or 4 sessions a week and your legs will change shape faster than a full year of squatting ever managed. But maybe your gym does not own a sled, or maybe you just want a couple of backups that do not need one. Good, because there are 3 of them, and every single one is so stupidly simple you will assume I am lying until you see the research sitting behind it. Start with incline walking. I already know the face you are making. Walking. That is not training. Except somebody actually wired people up and measured muscle activation on a hill versus flat ground. And the glutes fired 345% harder once the incline hit 10% or steeper. Not 45, 345%. Your quads and calves are grinding too, because every step is now a fight against gravity. And here is the beautiful part. There is basically no pounding on your joints. Your knees feel fine. You can do it every single day without paying for it later. Set a treadmill to 12 or 15%, walk 20 to 30 minutes at a pace where talking is possible but annoying, or just find a real hill outside and go up and down until your legs quit. No technique, no form to obsess over, nothing to learn. Now here is a detail that genuinely rattled me the first time I read it. Track cyclists carry some of the thickest quads in all of sport, and plenty of them have never once loaded a squat bar in their life. So what on earth are they doing to build legs like that? It comes down to how they ride. Researchers took older men, not athletes, just regular guys off the street, and ran them through 12 weeks of a very specific style of cycling. Their quads measurably grew. The catch was that they were not spinning away doing cardio. They cranked the resistance up until every stroke felt like a leg press, then pedaled slow, somewhere around 40 to 60 revolutions per minute, grinding against it the whole way. Copy that. Jack the resistance high enough that it feels heavy, then pedal deliberately. 10 rounds of 30 all-out seconds with 90 seconds of rest between them. Your quads will be screaming, But just like the sled, the damage stays low, so you recover fast and can come back to it in days, not weeks. The last one asks a little more of you, but it pays out the most. Hill sprints, and only 10 minutes of them. Incline walking wakes your muscles up. Sprinting drags your type 2 fast twitch fibers into the fight, and those are the fibers that carry the real growth and power. On top of that, an all-out sprint floods your system with testosterone, growth hormone, and IGF-1, the exact chemicals your body uses to build muscle, at levels a walk could never touch. Think of incline walking as 20 easy reps and hill sprints as 8 brutal ones. Both work. One just builds more in far less time. Find something steep, drive up it hard for 10 to 15 seconds, stroll back down while you catch your breath, and repeat until you have 6 or 8 in the bank. So how do you bolt all this into a week? Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you push the sled, and if you cannot make it in, you swap one of those for the heavy bike intervals. Then you leave one weekend day for a flush, an easy incline walk, or the hill sprints if you are feeling dangerous. That is 4 days. 4, which means while the guy across from you is nursing one wrecked leg day a week, still waiting to heal, you are already 3 sessions into the next one. And honestly, the hardest part now is remembering what your legs even looked like before.